thank you, and let's continue with the second part of the session. So what we're going to try to do now, and again, crossing fingers, everything goes smoothly, is to do two different demos. One is Libra, and so you could see a little bit how it goes, and then we're going to do a little bit about using also a little bit of imagination about like interbank payments. So we're going to see how that works. I'm going to try to do it literally live. If not, I brought videos if something goes wrong so you could see it. But let's see if we could actually make this happen live. All right, let me see if you guys see it correctly. And let's actually, I have like the testing here that I know that works, but let's see if we manage to make it work from scratch so you could see it. How they made a pretty good job in making it simple to do, honestly. So that's good. And it resembles a lot of what we do, like how you would do a few things in Ethereum. So I think they kind of reference it a little bit. So let me just open the commands that I'm going to use. And let me see if I can make this bigger. Zoom in. Zoom in. All right. Is that readable for you people, for everyone? All right. So the first thing that we're going to do, let me just copy this and go back here. Oops. Just let me set it ConsenSys. Libra, no, I haven't created it. OK. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to clone the Libra core, like the information. So basically, this is just getting it out there. Everyone, what I'm doing is anyone could do it. You know, it's completely open. You have a few tutorials and things out there. Let me just reduce some of the noise in my background. Yeah. So let me. OK. So now, as you see, I'm going to be running. This created a folder named Libra. So I'm just going to browse to it. And basically, the first thing that you need to do is, like I'm just going to check the testnet to make sure, because this is running privately, locally. So everything that I'm doing is not, there's no validators. I'm not running on the public blockchain. OK? So basically, that message says everything is OK and you're OK to go. So now the next thing that I need to do is I need to install a few dependencies for running this. And probably the most important one is Rust. Those of you who don't know, Rust is a programming language and is the programming language that they're using. So let me, OK. So hopefully, this will not take as long. I mean, it really will depend on the internet connection speed. But basically, right now, all it's doing is based on the information that I have and based on this script that they built is just fetching or making sure that everything that I need to be able to run Libra core is being implemented in my computer. So this is very good because honestly, a lot of the issues in the space right now is like I've said, the user-friendly experience that you have, and installing dependencies for things to run on blockchain is usually an issue. You need to maybe like install Dockers or install I don't know, Golang, or you need to update npm or Node.js or like different things out there. So it's very good that you have those scripts that could run and will do kind of all that for you, so you don't have to go and do it yourself. These scripts are not specific to Libra. This is DevOps thing, and I guess they have done a very good job for now, because it honestly is very smooth. I mean, I'm just installing everything out of a couple of scripts, and so I'm just going to start copying this. This is the one that probably is going to take the longest, which is to build everything and to deploy the node. So yes, actually we could take questions, because as long as this is running, I'm not doing anything. So.
Share, like, what are the resources resources you are using for this VirtualBox, like how much memory, disk, and other things?
I'm sorry, go again, repeat the question.
The resources for the VirtualBox, like how much memory, disk size?
Oh, this is, I think I gave it like 60 gigabytes of hard drive and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So again, this is all running locally, and it's not very hardware intensive. You know, the hardware intensity issue comes with proof of work and all those kinds of things if you run it. If you actually are running things that use other consensus mechanisms like Byzantine fault tolerance protocols and all those kinds of things, you don't really need such a strong machine. All right, so this is done, and so far so good. Crossing fingers, especially because honestly, it's like, you know, this is like the third time I do it, I think. Okay, so yeah, I need to go to, oh no, let me see, let's, failed to create directory home. Oh, yeah, it's probably giving like permissioning. So let's see. All right, so now this is also going to take a little bit of time. But now what it's doing is basically also downloading some of the other things and building the node. So this is kind of a like validator node kind of a thing. We'll be building it. If you would imagine that this was real, like I have this is running, Libra running, I would become a validator node. So any wallet would be connecting to my node to process transactions. Because this is very important. First, not everyone is going to be able to become a node. That's why it's permissioned. And then you will need to connect to a node as you would do in anything in blockchain. For example, if you run, that's why you may use tools like Infura or other things in Ethereum. If you want to connect to a node to broadcast a transaction and you don't want to have a node running on your computer, you would use something like Infura to connect to another node and just broadcast it to the network. So it's kind of the same thing. So like right now, this would be the same thing if, I don't know, it's a one-to-one analogy, but you know, bear with me. This would be like, oh, I want to become a miner. So this is what you would do, kind of a thing. All right, but of course, there's no miners. Actually, you're going to see we mint tokens or coins, not mine coins, and that. And so now it's downloading all those different things that I need. Like I said, it's very friendly to do. So I downloaded them. Now it's just running them and setting everything. For those things that, I mean, I have not gone through all that list. Honestly, I don't think I will. But to the few lists that I've seen is like everything that is very related to Libra is on 0.1 or 0.2 the best. So they're very early releases of everything. So like, you know, for those of you, actually, this is a good question. How many of you are actually working in the blockchain space? Could you please raise your hand? OK. So how many of you are actually coders or developers? OK. So for those of you who have actually know that Solidity is in 0.5. So you know we are not actually, and most of the tools out there are still in 0. Something. So you know we're not even close. We're not that close to a 1. Right? So a lot of the tools that actually we are using are still on beta tests. So that explains a lot of the issues with that, and also like the speed of the technology. Because for me, it's very significant that there's, I don't know, billions of dollars in decentralized finance on the blockchain, and the tools are not even version 1. And sometimes it's extremely interesting, but it also speaks about the speed of technology at this time. And if something drives value and there's something opportunity behind it, people don't wait. So it's interesting. So we're one third to go. Any questions? Yes. Wait for the mic, please, because for the recording.
Just from your experience, and you were just talking about performance, have you had exposure to blockchain oracles and some off-chain work, and how's that actually helping performance?
I mean, oracles is a very handy tool for a lot of different things. On the blockchain, the performance would be similar to what you have there. On permissioned, because usually what you are doing is querying, you are not writing or storing. Usually I would say that there's no, in private, if you want to consult or you want to get information from an outside oracle, honestly, I would say that there's no issue there because you're simply querying some data that it's updated at some cadence. So really depends on the cadence, because let's say it's every minute, you may want to wait. If you are in the 35-second, you may want to wait the other 25 seconds to get the last minute one, or not. That will be up to you. So it will really depend on your need, but you're just querying. So queries on the database is pretty quick. Another question? All right. So we're 40 more packages to go. Anyone has a joke? No.
Is Libra a security or utility token?
The question, I'll repeat it, no worries about it. He asked if Libra is a security or utility. I don't know. I know I would say it's a stable coin. That's as far as I could go. Whether it's a security or a utility token, honestly, I don't know if I could actually provide an answer to that question.
How would you separate these two types?
For me, it's like if there's capital gains associated to it, or some sort of, I mean, probably like people in ConsenSys will kill me if they hear this. I don't know. So this is personal opinion. I openly state that. I would say if there's any kind of a investment opportunity, capital gains, or the possibility of selling a better price a few times after purchase, I would consider it something close or similar or possible security. Not necessarily a security, but an indicator of possibility there. Utility token is that grants you access to do something. And that's very straight and very, for example, ETH was declared utility token because honestly, the purpose of ETH, the cryptocurrency in Ethereum, is to pay for the computational power to process applications. So it's to grant you access to a service. So it's clear, straightforward utility token. And the thing is that even if some of the ICOs that were there, welcome to Libra. Even if the security tokens out there ICOs out there were like kind of sounded like utilities.
But they are securities.
Not. It really depends on what they're going to do with it. I mean, honestly, I'm not a lawyer, not expert, so maybe I'm not the best person to engage in that debate. But some of the ICOs were enmasqueraded securities, but as utility tokens, but not all. There were others that actually were utility tokens that are not. So, all right. So this is Libra. This is a classical text interface for almost anything that happens on the space. So if I recall correctly, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create 2 accounts so we could transact. So account, create. Oh, that's it. So if you see over there, that's the address that we get back. That's the account. And so we're going to create another one, account create. That's it. So now I have 2 accounts. And if you see all that blah, 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 basically says, sequence number is 0 because you need to avoid double spending, the same thing as in Ethereum and other things, you have the nonce or the sequential number of the transactions. So when the accounts are just created, they have not transacted, so that number is 0. So you could always make sure that you're not for double spending in controls. And okay, they don't reflect the balance there. So let's see if I recall correctly, query balance. So accounts are like an array for those who are developers. So like the account number 1 is actually account 0, and account number 2 is actually account 1. Basically, the index is -1. I think this is the correct command, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it is. So if you see, account 1 has 0, and account 2 also has 0. So I'm going to mint tokens. And I think it's account mint. So I'm going to send it to the account number 1, and I'm going to mint me 100 Libras. So it says minting coins, minted, requested. So this is where basically the whole process of behind the door for like giving you the Libra in exchange of fiat should kind of have happened. So now I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but from account 1, I'm going to give me 50. So we have both. So if now again, I'll just check the balances just to make sure. So if you see the balance of account 1 is 100 Libra. So hey, I have 100 Libras. And that's it. So now I'm going to transact. I'm going to send to one to the other. And I think is a transfer. from account 1 or 0 to 1, and I'm going to send it 50. Okay, I'm just going to send 51 so it is easier on the balances check, and it sounds different. So I think this is the code. All right, so the transaction was validated. So if I wanted to get like what it's called the receipt of the transaction, and I wanted to see like all the information, all you have to, it's, actually it's very intuitive, honestly. They've done a good job on the interface. So here will be, that's the receipt of the transaction where you will have like, all the different things where you have like the signatures, somewhere there will be like the hashes and the addresses and all those things. That's like the block structure. You just get back the block or the information of the transaction from Libra. So if I go now again and check balances of account 1, you see it has 49 instead of 100. Right? So that's Libra. That's the whole. That's what people is making a lot of fuss about. And this is common interface, and yeah, definitely we need to work a little bit on the space on the interface of things to make it a little bit friendlier, because not everybody's accustomed or like or familiar with terminal coding on the terminal. But that's how a lot of the things that are going to be using the space happen, and it's pretty simple. To be honest, I have to say that it is a little more intuitive. If you guys see account create, it's pretty intuitive versus, however, the amount of commands and the amount of things that, for example, you have in Ethereum, they're so much broader and so much more at this stage that it makes sense. Also, I guess, like I've said, one of the good things about Facebook probably could be user experience. So, like Ethereum at the beginning was built with a lot of technical people in their head, so they used like a little bit more of a complex naming, but everything has a reason behind it. So this is the Libra thing. I think if I type exit, it will take me out. Nope, so quit. Yeah. And exit. All right, so that's the piece of Libra demo. Now I'm going to do the other one, the other transaction. Just let me close this. Oh, no, I needed to shut down. Not log out. I could actually just kill it. Okay, shut down. All right, let me just close the word too much box just to have a little bit more speed. Okay, so now we're going to do the other piece, which is let's imagine the interbank payment. I'm going to make the other bigger, so no worries about this. It's just a code editor. And what I just want to show you is what the ERC20 standard looks like if you have to code it yourself. So before I reveal it, a number. How many lines of code do you think you're going to need for this ERC20 standard? He says 10? 5? They already know it clearly. I will usually get like 50. So yeah, you were closer. That's it. So this is how people make millions. So the first important thing, and you would say, is like all the heavy lifting was done by these guys of OpenZeppelin who made the standard. So the only thing you do, you just import that standard, and this is Solidity. So if you see, it's object-oriented. So basically, this contract is inheriting all the properties of that contract, so that this is all you need to set when you build it, but all the functionalities like transfer, check your balances, and all those kinds of things come from the standard. Standards could be used both on public or permissioned or anywhere out there. You don't need to, it could be used anywhere. That's a good thing. So one of the good things about Ethereum is that you benefit about all the research that is being done on the public side, and that also impacts the private or the permission side or enterprises, because everything that is done there. And I don't know if it's true, but I read in a few places, like from the point of R&D, like Ethereum is like the biggest R&D lab existing at this point. So there's basically, I just put like the name, I call it decentralized token, symbol, number of decimals, and how much supply. So that's it. That's all I have to set up. And that's all that I need for the contract to run and to execute with everything, all of that. So what we're going to, remember the example that I mentioned about like the interbank payment? So let's say I'm the central bank right now. So we're going to make a test. And like the people in the first row are going to be like the people that are going to work with me on this test. So we have 4 people, right? So we all agree and said, OK, guys, each of you would put $1 million. So let's say that was $4 million, right? Boom, 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 and you have that. So actually, let's just make that 4 so it kind of keeps. 3, 3, OK. If you see, there's 8 zeros because we have 2 decimals. And you don't have float, like float type. You don't have like decimal spaces. So the 2 means that this 2 zeros at the end is the decimal side of things. So that's why I have 8 zeros there. So OK, we agree. Let's do the test. We have 4 million. Each of you send me a deposit for $1 million to your bank account. I will hold that in escrow or in some whatever reason, my bank account, in my central bank. You trust me, guys. I'm the central bank. And we have that, right? So that's it. So let's say as you guys are getting all the paperwork and all the things to send me that money, so I said, OK, I'm just going to get this on the blockchain. All right? So the first thing I want to show you is, let's say I'm not going to like deploy the whole thing and like connect to the network. I'm just going to use this development tool called Ganache. And by that simple click, I just created a node in my computer that is running Ethereum. And I have this graphic interface. And it just came with predefined 10 accounts with fake ETH on it that I already have ready to use as a test environment. That tool is called Ganache. And I have them there. So I have them here. So let's say the central bank is the first account. OK? So I'm going to, right now, deploy the contract and put it on the blockchain and have the tokens available in the blockchain so that we could start using them and transacting there. So to do that, I have to deploy. This is basically this is the line of code to deploy a contract to the blockchain. And the only thing I need to make sure is that I'm connected to the network. And this is the network I'm going to be connected, which is Ganache. OK? So to do that, unfortunately, you always have to use terminal at some point. So you have to get familiar with it. Let me see if. No. I don't know what sometimes the plus don't want to work. View. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Let's change to English. All right. It's just that I use it in Spanish. Is that readable? Yeah? All right. So the only thing I did is I just went to that folder that you're seeing here. So this is where I have everything. That's all I did. I just positioned myself there. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going first. I remember I mentioned something called Truffle. Truffle is a development environment, and basically just gives me a set of commands that really help make it easy to compile and get contracts and the blockchain. So the first thing I'm going to do, I could do it in a simple step, but I want to like show you step by step. Compile, not compete. Compile. So the first thing is I'm going to compile the code, the contracts that I have there. And basically, if you see, it compiled the codes that you see here, like the 2 contracts that I have here. This is the migration contract is just something Truffle uses to keep track of versionings of your smart contract for updates and things like that. That's completely separate thing. So here's our contract. And if you see, it also brought all the other dependency contracts from the standard. So I have all of those contracts there, and I have them there. And basically, I have contracted. So if you see, if I would go back here, now I have this folder named build that I didn't have before. And if you see here are all the contracts of my application, but they're no longer in Solidity. They're in there's a JSON format. So this is the ABI code of it and the JSON package. And just let me Just want to make sure I tell you the right thing. And this, what you see here, this is the bytecode. This is what actually is written on the blockchain. This is what the Ethereum virtual machine understands as code. So really advanced people that I honestly don't know how they do it, optimize here. It's crazy, honestly. I don't know how they do it. That's completely above my capacity. So that's the bytecode, just to show you a little bit of it. So the only thing I've just done is I just compiled it. So now I just need to put it on the blockchain, right? So let me take you to Ganesh. So like I've said, the bank is going to be the first account. So if you see, I have 100 ETH, I have 0 transactions, and everything. So it's over there, everything there. And also, I have like this. I set the node so that it doesn't have blocks, empty blocks happening. It just happens when there's a transaction. So if you see the current block count is 0, right? So let me get back to the terminal, and I'm just going to use truffle migrate, and this is going to get the contracts, if everything goes well, deployed to the blockchain. So if you see, this gives me like the contract address, how much ETH it was to deploy the contract, and the transaction hash. You get everything here, so you have it. So basically, it says, oh, this is how much ETH cost. So 0.0 this ETH. I don't know if someone wants to make the conversion and do the favor of letting us know how much would that be in like some sort of currency. So you would know for those people who says how much it costs. So if you see now, I have 4 transactions because I executed all of those transactions to put this code there. And I have this much ETH because somebody has to pay for the ETH. This is the utility token. You want to use the blockchain, you have to have the utility token to pay for it because there's some computational power that happened. So if we would go, here you would have the blocks, and here you have everything, and you have the information, and all those. It's all available in a graphic interface. But OK, that's fine. So right now, there's the point of central bank, put it on the blockchain. I could send the code everyone so they could check that I did not tamper with anything, that the code is valid, that everyone's agreed, that we have everything as we explained that it would be, because they will be able to compare the bytecode if they would do them themselves and just check that the bytecode matches so that I didn't make any changes like after you deposit, I'll just get the money and run, kind of a thing. So I have that, and let's say Marta here is the first person says like, hey, here's the receipt. I sent you the $1 million you asked. Send me my 1 million tokens so I could have them and I could start transacting. So let's emulate that. So the first thing that I'm going to do, so for those of you who are not familiar with, this is MetaMask, which is a wallet, and again, from ConsenSys. And basically here, you're managing this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to my network. So it's running locally, so I just use this. So I'm connected. So the next thing is I need the accounts to operate, right? So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to go, and so here's the central bank. It says, this is the private key. This is why you don't want to get your private key public. And I'm just going to say, OK, I'm going to create a new account. I'm going to import an account. And I have the private key of the account. So, hey, boom, import. If you see, that's it. Now, this wallet right now could do whatever it wants with this Ether. So that's why you don't want to give your private key to anyone. Because as soon as as simple as that, I have access to your money. And I'm just going to move this. So the next thing that I need is I need the contract address. Because I'm going to have the tokens managed here. So I'm going to add a token. I'm going to say it's a custom token. I put the contract that regulates it. See, it says how many decimal points and everything. I said, next. Voila. Oh, I forgot to hit save on the contract, so that's why it says 1 instead of 4. So use your imagination a little bit more. So if you see, basically, it says, OK, there it is. That's the balance of the account. So I'm central bank. I have all the tokens. So now Marta says, OK, I need to do something similar. So let's say now Marta is this second account here. So I'm going to now I'm playing Marta. So let me go back to, so I have her. So let me just first, account details. So central bank. All right, so we have it there. Now I'm going to import another account, private key again. So I'm Marta importing and creating everything. So same thing. Now I will need the smart contract. So add a token, custom token, da-da-dum. Next. If you see, this account has 0, has nothing. But I have the token now. Okay? I'm going to rename it. And so this is Marta Bank. All right. So that's it. I have both. So now I'm going to send her. So I have let's say she sent me 5,000, whatever, just to keep a different number because the one is so you can see a different number. So I go back to Beam, the central bank. I go to the tokens here, and I'm going to send the tokens. To whom? To the accounts that I would just need to copy, scan, or something, but because I have it here, so to Marta. And let's 5,000, 1, 2, so because of the zeros, right? And I hit next. Confirm. And it says failed. Because synchronization error? Must be non-empty string. Oh, that's odd. See, these are the kind of things that happen often. Well, failed account. Let me see if I could see the error of it. Let me try it again. Didn't type in the.
Should decrease the amount. I think too much.
Let's see. I don't think it was that, to be honest. It could be like gas fee. Confirm. No, it failed again. Oh, but now I don't have the other one. Let me see what happens if with Marta here. Yeah, why is it doing it? Oh, I think I know what it is. Let me import another account. Let me see if that's it. Sometimes when you have the synchronizing, remember the sequence number of transactions? If maybe because I'm using the same accounts I did before, it's using it has like the number different. It's not synchronized properly. So it could be that. Let me just quickly import another account, and let me see if that's it. But I'm not 100% sure if that would be it. So I think copy. And oops. Well, if it happened to Bill Gates, it could happen to me. All right, let me see if that works better now, but I think there's, I hate it when that happens. All right, let me see if it works better. Send between my accounts, account 8. Next, confirm. Now, for some reason, it's not doing it at this time, to be honest. Probably some synchronization issue. And I'm not going to do a low level right now because it would take me a little too long, and we're about time. So, sorry it didn't work at the time. This is why we're still in alpha tools. But basically, what would have happened if that transaction would have been sent, and basically now she would have had the same number of tokens, so she could start like using those tokens to transact within the other banks of the network, and then everything is being settled and balanced on the blockchain, and you'll be able to keep keeping track of all of that from the smart contract. So there's no need of settlement and anything. You could always know what's your token balance on the contract, which is what I want to kind of show you. I still wonder why. I think it probably is about the number of transactions. There's got to be some synchronization issue here. because it says transaction number 5 and it should be number 2. So probably is that. I probably would need it to have send the tokens not to the first account because I used it last time, to a different account because it just kept the nonce number. So maybe, let me see if there's any way to reset this account quickly. No, never mind. This will take it off. Is there a way to settings? To contacts advanced, start, download, log, sync, reset account. Yeah, but I think this will also take okay, download logs, sync with money. Okay, so let me see. Probably now I don't have the tokens anymore. I do. So let me try one more time. And my accounts too. Again, Marta. Next, confirm. Yes. Good. If not, I'll be killed. Because I've done this I don't know how many times. That's kind of so you know what is in the spaces. That's the synchronizations issue, but that's to avoid the double spending kind of a thing. So that's why it's so important. But now, so I don't have that. That will be on, if I log into Marta's account now, because I think I sent her to her, and I go see the tokens, you see she has that net account, so now she could start sending it amongst the banks and blah, 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 and use it, and then everything is, the balances are there. So that's Ethereum. And that's how you could have, kind of, if you do a very demo, alpha, lab scale thing, you could have like interbank payments or payments between any kind of parties under some sort of agreement using tokens, and there's, the token, the physical or the asset is somehow held by someone who you trust, and then the other parties are just, using the tokens so that it's much easier to track on everything. Yes, questions now.
I have one question. Can you recommend?
I'm listening. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Can you recommend a smartphone wallet to do the same thing what you showed to us, like with the custom token?
I'm sorry, to recommend our?
Open source wallet.
MetaMask is open source.
Open source, we can, okay.
Again, wallets is a very personal thing, is very important thing. There are many things to consider, so don't take the decision of your wallet, especially if you plan to hold a lot, very lightly. So just as a comment there. Other questions? There.
How do you see Libra being, or talk me through how it would be implemented at the checkout for e-commerce, for example, like when you've done your shopping, then what would happen after that, and how would it be configured?
If I understand your question correctly, it's about for a merchant transacting if they just want to hold fiat, not Libra. I think it will work as it works right now. Coinbase, you have a merchant API, or have like BitPay, like a payment processor that you choose whether you want them to give you the cryptocurrencies or you want to give the fiat, and they'll just give you that, so you don't touch cryptocurrencies at any point. You accept those payments, but you don't touch them. So that's, he has another question, microphone for him. So that would be, and if you want to like cash out or like take, then they're going to enable exchanges.
I meant just before that. So in other words, what would it look like when you're paying for your product?
Oh, I have no clue. I mean, they have not built it yet.
Okay,
so I don't know how that's going to look like. Probably it's going to look familiar to like WeChat or anything. Like right now, scanning QR codes and that's it.
Yes.
Like it looks now in Bitcoin or in blockchain or in Ethereum. So I figured that it would be similar thing, but like to what you just witnessed. But to be honest, if they do something different, I don't know. Once they have the release out there, we're gonna know. I think yeah.
Could you short explain what you did do with the reset in the MetaMask?
I'm sorry, go again?
With you did do a reset in the MetaMask, right? To get the next transaction confirmed.
How do I?
No,
reset?
Why?
Oh, why? Because let's say their MetaMask holds, there's an important account, so they had a transaction number of times that account has transacted for double spending control. And I also have that account in the blockchain. The thing is that because it's a test environment and I was playing with it before, what happened is that I imported the same account, I did transactions, so when I reset the blockchain, the transaction number here was 0 or 1 or 2, but here in MetaMask it was 5. because I've used it in the past. So I needed to reset it so it would match and it would transact, because if there's a transaction that does not match the nonce of the transactions in the blockchain, it will be rejected because it could be double spending. That's what was happening to me. It's being rejected because the sequential number of transactions was not matching. There's a question there and there over there. Yeah.
Okay, so you showed us like how you extended the ERC20 into your token. Is it possible to extend ERC20 into a token with time lock ability and still keep it fungible? So for example, I lock it for 1 year, give it to you, you can't use it for 1 year, but after that you give it to Marta and then it just behaves like ERC20.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's possible. You could lock it or something. That's how the contract is programmed. Because that locking feature is not on RC20, then you would have to maybe clone the RC20 standard, add the timer to it, and then use it or submit it as a new standard. If it gets accepted, then just you have the standard. But yeah, definitely you could have time locking for things to happen so that someone is not able to trade before X period of time.
In that case, that token will not behave as a ERC20 token after the time lock, right?
I'm sorry, go again?
In that case, suppose I create a new interface, right? Then it won't behave like a ERC20 after the time lock.
I mean, if you mean if that will be considered an RC20 token, the answer is no, because you changed the standard.
Right.
So if that becomes a standard, that's what I said, then you have exchanges who will be able to do that because they have that time locking locking standard feature.
Right.
But if you touch one comma of the code,
right,
it's no longer ERC20.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Question on Libra. How do you see the timeline and roadmap for Libra, both from a technological standpoint as well as a regulatory standpoint?
I mean, to be honest, I could do a good. My guess is as good as yours. Technically speaking, I guess they're building their own things. I don't think they have any blockers to that. They could evolve it as fast as they want to. They're pretty much taking a lot of what's available in the blockchain space and adapting it to this Move language. That's what they called it. So basically, it's called Move because when you do transactions, when you code the language, the transfer feature is actually Move. And so you could really control a lot of what things happen, like you're moving money, right? So I don't see any stopper for them to building it. I wonder why they wanted to build something new when there's a lot of the things that they're just doing could just be done with Ethereum. So I don't know, but well, they could do it. Regulatory, you've seen what, it's heated. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what people will say. I don't know. Will they do it in the future? Will they be allowed in the future? Or will they do it even if not allowed? I have no idea, to be honest. That's something we don't know. It will unfold as, time will tell. Any last questions? Okay, one here.
Well, first of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. And second, what's the state of the Viper language? Because I noticed everybody's still using Solidity, and I thought we're past the point where at least there's going to be some maturity in the Viper language to address all the security issues.
So there's another language called Viper that's being developed to code smart contracts as Solidity is. It is being developed. It's out there. There's something in the space, in blockchain space. There's nobody can stop you for doing it. The most used language right now is Solidity. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more mature, if possible to say, within the of how recent it is. So mostly people are still using Solidity because it's premature, but Viper is being developed. If I recall correctly, they're trying to optimize for performance and security. So I guess we'll have to wait a little bit more until that evolves a little bit to compare right now, because they're not on the same stage. And but also it's probably, I don't know what will happen, but EWASM is going to be a thing, which is to include assembly code, which is very low level. But that's something that also Solidity allows. So I don't know exactly what will happen there. Again, everything is being built as we speak. So that's another option. You could actually use it. If you research, there's actually tutorials and things for you to try it and play with it. It's just like, like you have C#, C, Python, a thing out there. Well, in blockchain, you're going to have Solidity, Viper. You had LLM at some point. Now I think it's deprecated, and blah blah blah. So there's there are going to be a lot of different languages, and I think if I'm correct, in Hyperledger Fabric, they also take a bunch of other languages. So thank you for staying this long. I know it was very long, and I hope that this was useful, that it was instructive. Please, I'll hang out here if anyone has any other questions. I'll be more than happy to connect, and feel free to reach out. They took my email out of it, but I hope somebody took a picture. And I will send the slides to the organizers, because I figured that they're going to make them available to all of you. I haven't yet, so I will send them to them. And so you have it if they're made available. If not, anyone who comes to me, the flyers have my email. So, hey, could you send me the slides? And I'll send you the slides as well. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.